I tried to waste time at the beginning so we could minimize the impact of talking about Manchester United, because I think a lot of people are sick of us talking about Manchester United. But guess what? They leave us no choice. They lost 3-0 at home to Newcastle. Now, look, it's the League Cup, so normally I say, well, it doesn't matter. It's a good thing because you can concentrate on Europe and blah, blah, blah. And I think certainly Newcastle, and I think we need to give them some praise, because I think that was Eddie Howe's thinking. Eddie Howe was thinking, all right, he's not even thinking, let's go and lose this game. But he says, this is the game where I need to rest people. I've had injuries and so on. I am looking at their lineup.
Yeah.
And the only people who I think we can describe as proper starters, like in terms of everybody fit for Newcastle, are Anthony Gordon. And even that might be slightly touch and go for some people. But no, Anthony Gordon, fine.
Yeah.
Joe Linton.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
That is it.
Longstaff, potentially.
Well, Longstaff, but if Tonali weren't suspended, use Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton in midfield, right?
So I think Emil Kraft at the back had not played in 15 months.
Yes.
Dummett, as centre-back, had played 5 games in the last 3 years or something like that.
Tino Livramento was man of the match. I think this was his, I don't know if this was his first start or not.
I think he played against City in the last round.
I wasn't even sure he'd really move there, even though they announced the signing, because I haven't seen him.
This is Newcastle's C team. It is C team. And they schooled United.
But
and at the end, Eddie Howe brought on Bruno Guimaraes and Callum Wilson for the last half an hour. And when he was asked why, I mean, you were 3-0 up, why would you play those guys? Oh, it was like a training session for them. I mean, how much more?
You get trolled by Eddie Howe.
Can you be humiliated when a coach that you just lost 3-0 at home against, his C team, says to you, oh yeah, I put 2 of my best players at the end so they could get some training in. Training! Now you play against Manchester United to it's a training session.
Okay, but let's be fair, because can we make the same case for Manchester United? I'm looking at their lineup.
Yeah.
And I see Casemiro, starter. Onana, starter. Anthony, starter. Mason Mount, supposedly starter.
Diogo Dalot.
Yeah, but Dalot...
No, Dalot is a starter. Dalot is a starter.
Who's Wan-Bissaka? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but
and
so, let's say 4.5. Let's say 5. But
Reguilon, our left back, is Reguilon...
Not if Shaw's fit, but yes.
No, but now...
but we use the same standard for Newcastle, right?
Okay, so if everybody's fit, fair enough.
But even then, this is a stronger lineup on paper. And more importantly, what would really concern me about this, if I were Erik Ten Hag, is I've given an opportunity to some players now who don't get much playing time or just coming back. They're playing against opponents who are not as good. They're at home. Some of these guys haven't necessarily been tainted by a lot of the negativity because they haven't played very much, like Hannibal, like Garnacho.
Yeah, Martial.
I mean, who's going to blame Martial other than me? And yet, they put on this sort of performance. And I've always sort of felt that, from what I've been told and so on, the players still want to do a job for Ten Hag. They're still on board for him.
It didn't look like it yesterday.
Well, if this is true, it means that they simply can't. And that's a concern.
But we've said many times, if you have a structure, right, in place, where everybody within that structure, whoever plays, knows what to do, and there's actually a logic to when the ball is there, this is what we do. When we have the ball and the ball is there, this is what we do. Structure. In the structure, you can leave a lot of freedom to your most creative players, but at least have a structure. When you change the players within that structure, your best players will supposedly do the best job. But even in that structure, if you move some of your first team out and your B team comes in, because the structure is strong, even those B players who are not as good as the A player still do a good job, because within that structure, they know what to do. So it's still not as good as your first team, but it's still good. Like we saw with Newcastle. This Newcastle team that is the C team played like the A team of Newcastle, not as well.
Because they're not as good? Yeah, no.
Yeah, they would not be PSG 4-1. But they still can beat Manchester United 3-0 when United were abysmal. And they don't have any structure.
I think that part of the problem here, Jules, is, so take Garnacho for Rashford, right? Garnacho can do some of what Rashford does, not as well, but he would be an example of this.
Yeah.
I don't know who can do what Bruno does, and that is maybe one issue with this team. But to be honest, there are so many issues facing United right now. Continuing with this.
Yeah.
Bruno is not a problem for Manchester United. He's not. But when you have a player like that, or indeed, like you had when you had Cristiano,
Yeah.
you're not going to have a replacement who does the same thing. So you necessarily have to change when they're not there,
Yeah.
right? When I say Bruno's not a problem, I'm not saying Bruno is faultless, by the way, because, there's some things he does well, other things he can't do well. But, on balance, Bruno is an asset for Manchester United,
definitely.
a big asset, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So when he's not there, what do? You have to change the team. And that's what Ten Hag did. But
Yeah.
I think he looks at this and he says, Anthony, I took you in difficult circumstances, burning bridges and hurting relationships, by the way, with Ajax, because they were not happy when it went. Burning relationships for me, and I'm Dutch, and I was the Ajax manager. I took you here. And what have you done since then, other than accumulate police investigations, right? He looks at Garnacho, who, I don't think Garnacho was terrible last night, but he says, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Seize it. Show me. The other thing I don't get in all this is people often talk about inverted wingers and stuff. And obviously this wasn't the case last night because you had Martial. But when Højlund's there, would it kill them maybe to try Rashford and Antony or Rashford and Garnacho on inverted flanks?
No.
So that maybe they could deliver some crosses for people to run into, just mix it up a little bit?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things they can do, Gab. And I know he probably Ten Hag doesn't have much time to work on things because they play every 3 days with the Champions League, and maybe he thinks this is a disservice.
Well, the way things are going, that's not going to be a problem much longer.
No, that's very true. Although if they go to Copenhagen on Wednesday night, and win there, and if Bayern beat Galatasaray, they're right back in the second place and looking decent for qualification somehow. Because let's not forget that they get spanked by Newcastle. But before that, they could have got spanked by many teams and somehow avoided the Brentford. They should never win. Copenhagen, they should never win. Even Sheffield United away, they should not really win apart from that Dalot goal.
Reminder: those are the only games in the last 7 that they have not won. That they have not lost.
Yeah.
And for those who haven't been paying attention at home, Copenhagen last-minute penalty save from Andre Onana.
Yeah.
Brentford 2 goals in injury time from Scott McTominay.
Exactly.
And the Sheffield United against a team that has lost every single game they've played this year except for one.
Yeah. Right. So, and those were narrow wins that were not really deserved, to be fair. So I just don't even know where there's a bit of hope. There's no hope individually with forms of players, because Højlund, Rashford, Martial, Garnacho, Antony, all together, 1 Premier League goal this season. What do you do with this? What do you do? In midfield, it's clearly not working. Casemiro can't run anymore. Eriksen can't run anymore. Amrabat
can run,
can run, but he's not running right now. So I don't know what's wrong there.
Hannibal?
I mean, I love Hannibal. He's Paris born and bred, but that's all he is. That's all he is. Mason Mount, not really sure. How can Tino Livramento, who hasn't played football for 2 years, can get the ball from almost his own box, slightly over, right? Run past Garnacho first, then Hannibal, who was on a yellow. Okay, so maybe Mason Mount look literally like Madame Tussauds. What do you call those? Like,
the wax statues. Yeah.
That's Mason Mount for you. And then Diogo Dalot, who's looking, he looks behind him, he says, okay, Almiron is here, I'm good. And then never looks again. And when the ball is through from Livramento, he goes, oh no! Almiron scores. I mean, like, come on.
Okay, so
structurally, just before you go, Ten Hag has put nothing together. There's no plan A, no plan B, no plan C.
Well, not just that, he's also come out and said that, look, I'm not going to play the way I did at Ajax, because I've always kind of given him the pass that saying like, look, you got to get results, but long term you want to play the way you played at Ajax, which you didn't do last year, and so on, right? And he's saying, no, we're not going to play like Ajax because we have different players and we have different situations, right? Mm-hmm. Fair enough, but at some point, then why are you there? Because if I just want somebody I want somebody to do what I know that he's good at, which is what he built at Ajax, right?
And surely when he was interviewed for the job, he said, okay, this is how I play. I don't play. This is what I do. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do in this football club. Nobody arrives at a new club saying like, look what I was really good at. But now I'm going to try something completely different. What are you talking about?
Okay, so we listed all the problems. We know their problems. If you are Manchester United's leadership, right? And unfortunately, in these situations, the conversation immediately goes to, should he be sacked? How much time do you give him? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not really interested in that. I don't believe you should sack Ten Hag now. I don't know if you believe that, right?
I agree.
But I am wondering, what should you do? So if you're Joe Glazer now, or Richard Arnold, or John Murtaugh, should you step forward and say something? Should you address the fans? Should you address the club? Because I always get this sensation.
Do they want to hear from them?
Well, okay, we know Joel's not going to do that for obvious reasons. But it's interesting, and this is maybe a cultural difference, right? And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if this were Bayern, who we'll get to, or if this were a club in Italy, I'm assuming in France as well, in a situation like this, big club, terrible, blah, 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 you get somebody other than the manager to come out and face the music and take accountability. The reason you do this is not that they're interfering or whatever, but you send a message that the manager's not there all on his own and has to fix everything on his own. You send the message that somebody else is there also to take the abuse, because I think that's important. Because right now, Erik Ten Hag did not do this all on his own.
No.
Right? You win together, you lose together, right?
That's true.
Richard Arnold, John Murtaugh are a part of this. Now, obviously, they don't pick the team. They don't. Well, they have different roles, right? But it's all. And I wonder what's right. I mean, managers have told me, no. I don't want the director of football or the club president talking, right, in this country, in England. I like that they don't. I like that it's just me, blah, blah, blah. Others have said, it would be good if somebody else spoke up occasionally.
Supported you.
What's your stance? I think Ten Hag would really benefit from it right now. If somebody said, look, it's a horrible situation. Otherwise, people are going to say, oh, no, it's the dreaded vote of confidence. It's not dreaded vote of confidence if you don't sack them. It's just a stupid thing people say.
Yeah, true.
It just says...
He feels quite lonely now, to be fair. He feels lonely. He comes up with lines like, I'm a fighter, I'm going to turn this around, right? And the thing is, every 3 days now he faces the media. So Tuesday before Wednesday's game in the League Cup. Wednesday night after the defeat. Friday lunchtime before the Fulham game on Saturday. Saturday after the Fulham game, whatever happens in that game. Tuesday before, etc., etc. So every time, especially when things are not going well, he's on his own against all the media who are asking tough questions, and rightly so. This is their job. And United stink right now, and so does he. So I agree in the sense that he could do with the support. I know this is not really in English football culture, and certainly not at United ever. And I don't see Richard Arnold or Murtaugh or Fletcher or anyone in that club saying that, you know what, it would be good to it would be
good if I face the media, and I took some, I took some of the blame and some of the pressure with it, but because you know why they don't do it at United? Because that's not how Fergie did it. Well, guess what? Fergie was on one-off, and he's not there anymore.
That's true,
right?
You know, on Monday,
so Fergie won things.
You criticized Chelsea for how they build their squad, and I was at Chelsea Blackburn on Wednesday, and it was bad. And somehow, I think that United get away with a similar criticism. They spend a hell loads of money, half £1 billion on transfers since Ten Hag arrived. Let's not even go into like Ten Hag's son, Ten Hag's agent, Nigel, and all that business, right? For now. And yet, how can you go from and we like Casemiro. You and I we're big Casemiro fan. He can't run anymore. He can still pass lovely the ball. He's still good. Anyway, but you still went from Frankie de Jong to Adrien Rabiot to signing Casemiro on a 5-year deal, 4+1. 5-year deal, Gab. Okay? After 18 months, everybody realizes the guy can't run anymore. There's no way he's spending the next... So he's got another 2.5 years on his current deal plus the potential +1. He won't go all the way. He can't play for Manchester United in the way that they should be playing right now anymore.
No, I think
certainly not with the kind of players that you can put next to him.
And especially in that position and what
so who built that squad? Where is the criticism on that squad? How can that squad has been built like this? All that money spent for that.
We know who built the squad. It's Murtaugh and Ten Hag together.
And Ten Hag massively too. And for that he needs to get blamed too.
I agree with you. I just think right now you're stuck with him. And I think I would like to think that there are enough mature Manchester United fans out there that if somebody, whether it's Arnold or Murtaugh, come out and they're given the green light to speak honestly and said, look, we spent a lot of money. We've had injuries. Some people got it wrong. Some calls were incorrect. We haven't been helped by the ownership situation, and admit it. You're not blaming your boss,
No.
right? You're saying it is a fact. They said the club is for sale, and then it goes on forever. This has also hurt us, and all these things have hurt us, and that's how we are now. But we believe Eric can take us where we want to go, and blah blah blah. But just remove the conversation just from Ten Hag and the players, because right now. Because I think it's in the best interest of the club to do so.
But right now, this team looks so similar to the Solskjaer team. And by the way, Ten Hag and Solskjaer, same amount of points per game. I think under Solskjaer, they scored more goals, conceded less anyway. But that derby on last weekend was similar to the derby that Solskjaer lost at Old Trafford 2-0 when Bernardo was the first nine and running riot and everything. This team they are back to where it was with Solskjaer and how bad and how flat that was.
You know the difference? We both believe Eric Ten Hag is a far better coach than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah,
right?
so how
that's why you believe that Ten Hag can get you out of it, maybe.
Well, you hope so.